Hello again. This is Rudy Giuliani, and I'm back with another episode of Rudy's Common Sense. Today, we're going to talk about organization. We're going to talk about how we should organize ourselves to deal with the onslaught of 42 executive decrees and a year, 2020, in which many of our rights were, if not taken away, certainly eroded. And I think it's important that we have a unified response as Republicans to that. And I think it should be within the context of the Republican Party. I think all this talk of another party, a Patriot Party, or whatever other party, is a terrible, terrible mistake. Because I think it will ensure the dominance of the Democrat Party forever and ever. And it will also ensure that we don't accomplish what we want to accomplish. I'm going to give you several historical examples just very quickly so you can see the need for this. You know, Teddy Roosevelt had only one term. He succeeded to his first term because of the death of McKinley. And then he was elected for one term. And then he turned it over to Taft. And he wasn't happy with the way Taft had governed. So he started his own party, the Bull Moose Party. The result of that was that he elected Wilson to the point where many Republicans feel that was the cause of a lot of problems that would not have had been caused if it hadn't been for that mistake in dividing the vote the way he did. Well, that would happen again for a long, long time should we end up in another party. What we've got to do is to organize based on those things that bring us together as Republicans, and they're very, very strong. We have very, very strong bonds of connection as Republicans, and they're intellectual, and they're matters of principle and conscience. We're the party that believes in the best government is the government closest to the people. We believe in putting much more emphasis on human beings' actions and their own decision-making, giving them the right to kind of forge out their lives, giving them the opportunities, not guaranteeing the results, but guaranteeing that they have good, solid, fair opportunities. We're the party that believes in less taxes because you're going to make wiser decisions with your money than the government. We're the party that believes that regulation should be only if necessary. Again, because the free human being allowed to be creative and allowed to be organized the way he or she wants to is much more creative than someone put into a regulatory straitjacket. Well, there's so many things that unite us on foreign policy too. But we're under assault, and we have been for over a year now as Republicans and as people who believe that there should be an emphasis on human decision-making and that it should be as important, or sometimes in some cases more important than government decision-making. And government should cede to individuals a great deal of autonomy. So where are we now after Biden's election and his 42 executive orders, many of which were executive orders on highly controversial topics that in which only one side was taken, no debate, and then it was written down as if it were, the Ten Commandments. And the opposition to it, or the heartfelt opposition to it, sometimes matters of pocketbook, conscience, politics, was just cast aside. Similar to what went on during the pandemic, or going on during the pandemic in Democratic states where governors have taken on something of a dictatorial role. And when I use that word dictator, please, it's not mine. Biden said that any president that governs by executive order is really taking on the aspect of a dictator. Well, my goodness, he's so far in his short time in office, he's passed more executive orders than any president during a period of time like that. So he's going to have to live with his own description. And what it has done is it taken someone who wanted to be, he said, the uniter in chief, and he's made him the divider in chief. These are issues that split America right down the middle. And if we can make decisions on issues that split us down the middle, there's got to be consultation and debate and compromise if you're going to unite. If you're just going to decree, or you're going to pass Obamacare with just one-sided votes, you ensure anger. You ensure almost a desire to just have to reverse it. I think this would be a good time to pause. My friends, if you want to help preserve America right now, while you still can, join AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, the fastest growing conservative group in America, especially for those age 50 and up. Joining AMAC gives you access to money-saving benefits, cutting-edge news, and a great bi-monthly magazine. More importantly, AMAC fights for you. A socialist storm is brewing. Our constitutional republic has rarely faced the perils we do today. Edmund Burke said it best. All it takes for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. If you care about our future like I do, then join AMAC today. Over 2 million conservatives like you and me have already joined AMAC. Stand with us by joining right now. Just go to amac.us/Rudy. That's amac.us/Rudy. The benefits of AMAC membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Rudy. Thank you for returning. So I go back to a historical analogy, and the analogy that I go back to is the Tea Party movement. After the election of Obama, who remember ran as there's not two America, a white America and a black America, there's just one America. He kind of moderated many of his views, separated himself from some of the earlier views that he had. He was against gay marriage, remember that? He was things like that. So when he got into office, it was quite clear that he had moved very heavily to the left. And then ultimately we had Obamacare, which was passed purely with Democrat votes, Republicans cast aside, none of their ideas taken into consideration. The taxes part in particular created the Tea Party movement. And the Tea Party movement, for whatever people think of it, was a very constructive movement. It became enormously important in electing a Republican Congress in 2010 by enormous numbers. And because it was built around specific principles, kind of like in an earlier time, Newt Gingrich's Contract with America, which won the Congress back for us after like 50 years in isolation. So what I'm suggesting is that we're going to have to organize. We're going to have to organize within the Republican Party. But let's take a look at what would require us to do that. And it really emerges from Biden's 42 executive decrees. Because for someone who used the word unite or unity, I think it was 19 times in his inaugural speech, the first thing he did when he sat down in the Oval Office is divide. I think the first thing he did was cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. He put 11,000 people out of work. He was in office a couple hours. And then another 22,000 as it plays itself out, and then eventually hundreds of thousands as the whole thing plays itself out. First thing he did. I mean, doesn't he see that's, I just said I'm going to unite, and by signing that without consultation with anyone, without discussing how it might be modified, or without giving them some warning, or that I'm going to divide, I'm going to create what's called anger. People don't get angry when they're thrown out of work. I mean, some guy that's working on a pipeline or expects a job in 2 weeks on the pipeline or is working on it now is watching television. Maybe he's a Democrat and he's cheering for Biden. You know, actually, Biden even took his mask off to give the speech. Look, you know, that was something to cheer. Got out of his basement, came there, did all that stuff. All of a sudden, he's kind of like, this guy's going to unite. Isn't that great? And his wife says, they just canceled your job. They canceled my job. How did they cancel my job? Well, Biden just did away with the XL pipeline. You mean he can do that? He can just do away like the Pharaoh used to do? Just sign? Isn't there like a Congress and stuff like that? So he did away with the XL pipeline. And let's take a look at that environmental things, because they're like a little package, right? He did away with the Keystone XL pipeline. That, who knows how many jobs. We can count 22,000 now. By the time it was operating, probably 100,000. It affects places from Alaska all the way down to Louisiana. And here's what it does. There's a winner there. Winner's China and Russia. Remember he said he was going to do away with America first? I didn't think he was going to put China and Russia first. That's a big discovery. It can get you angry, huh? Particularly when you think of all the money he got from those countries. It could kind of get you like angry, kind of emotional, right? Now we'll take a short break. I accomplished a lot in 2020 exposing the truth, establishing the relationship with you, working tirelessly for America. And I came to know the work and value of the people at American Hartford Gold. You see, you buy gold not only for what you know, but you buy gold for what you don't know. American Hartford Gold is the company you can trust when it comes to buying gold. They sell physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside of your IRA. In the precious metals industry, they are the highest rated firm in our country with an A+ from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. Give them a call and tell them Rudy sent you. And be sure to ask them what I bought. And if you call them right now, they will give you up to $1,500 of free silver on your first order. Folks, these are uncertain times. The one thing you can count on to protect what you have worked so hard for is physical gold and silver. So don't wait. Call them now. Call 833-GOLD-777. That's 833-GOLD-777. Or text Rudy to 65532. Again, that's 833-GOLD-777. Or text Rudy to 65532. Thank you very much for coming back. Then maybe the most emotional and most divisive subject of our time, he had to weigh in on, and that was abortion. And it's strange because this is a guy who wears his Catholic religion on his sleeve. He might as well have, every Ash Wednesday, he's got the biggest ash on his head. It almost takes over most of his head. And he almost has like Catholic written across him here. Always tells you about how he goes to Mass and he prays. And somehow, though, AOC and not the doctors of the church won the debate on abortion with him. I mean, he was one of these guys that I'm sympathetic with because I can kind of see this position, although I'm going through my own crisis of conscience over this because of how far they've taken abortion. He used to be in favor of abortion, kind of like in the Clinton. Clinton had this expression, abortion should be limited, safe, and only when very necessary, something like that. So he was opposed to public funding of abortion, called the Hyde Amendment. So you could have an abortion in the first trimester, couldn't have late abortion, because now, by the time you start getting toward the end, you're talking about a baby, right? But at the early stage, woman has a right to make some kind of choice, according to Biden, right? And but you got to pay for it yourself, because there are people who, as a matter of conscience, consider it to be murder. And then there are people who don't. So we try to make an accommodation on a very difficult subject in a democracy. And he was for 47 years. That was his position. That's not just a political position if you're a Catholic or anybody. That's a position of conscience, isn't it? It's about life and death. Well, AOC tells him he's got to change, and boom, one day he became against any public funding of abortion. Changed 47 years in one day so he can have power. And then he puts it in these executive orders. Not only is he going to give money for abortion in the U.S., he's going to give foreigners money for abortion. We're going to pay for abortion all around the world. And he's gone so far as to support abortion right up to the moment of birth. No, none of this early term, middle term. I mean, what about late term? Like one day before birth? Well, what, come on, let's be honest. What is abortion one day before birth? It's homicide, isn't it? I mean, one day before, the day after, it's the same baby with the same brain, and it's almost impossible to even think about. Now, you're going to unite, and you know that somewhere between, depending on these positions, somewhere between 53 and 73% of the American people disagree with you, not just Catholics. 53 to 73% of the American people disagree with you. You don't think they're going to be angry? You don't think they're going to be wanting to, feeling like they got to do something about it? This much murder in their country? I know you don't look at it. Well, I don't know about you, but some people don't look at it that way. But if you're going to govern, you got to think about how the people you're governing look at it. This isn't some crazy group of people. This is a legitimate view. You may not agree with it, but it's a legitimate view that it isn't right to do an abortion late in the term of the pregnancy. And you don't respect that right enough to sit down and talk about it? You take out a pen, or somebody gives you a pen, and you just sign a decree like you're the Pharaoh? You don't think that's going to divide? You think that unites? Then he signs the one, more complicated than this, but basically, let's simplify it. Men who decide that they're women for that day can participate in women's sports. And they can go into the women's locker room and bathroom. What? And you're a uniter? That's going to unite people? All those fathers at home with young daughters? They're going to sit there thinking, some guy who decides I'm a woman, but he's dressed like a man and he has the biology of a man and the hormones of a man can come into the ladies' room with my daughter? That's going to unite us? That isn't going to get us angry? You don't even consult with us? You don't even listen to our representatives who agree with us? You just decree this? And you expect us to be united? Yeah, if we want to give away our conscience, we can be united. If we just want to be a little lamb led to the slaughter, we can be united. If we want to just respect ourselves and what our conscience tells us, we can be united. But a lot of people aren't going to be united. I mean, these are not little things. Life, death, how we deal with sensitive sexual questions, and then how we deal with sports. You know, there's something wrong if you can't see the good faith basis for someone disagreeing with you on things like this. Then how about including illegal immigrants and non-citizens to determine congressional delegations? And then ending the border wall to stop illegal immigrants from coming into the United States. You know, letting them be counted for congressional seats. People who aren't citizens. I mean, reduces my power, my delegation, my rights as a citizen, everybody's rights as a citizen. I mean, maybe there's some country that lets citizens get counted that way. I mean, and we know what you're doing. We know this is leading right to giving them the right to vote. Now, that's not going to get people angry, particularly when you don't explain it to them, you don't allow them to debate it, you don't listen to their side of the argument, and you sit there like you don't even know what you're signing, and you sign it. You know, you were going to do away with America first, but it seems like you're doing away with America completely. I mean, the big winners here are China, Russia, not the U.S. We're going to lose jobs with the Paris Accord like you never saw before. Biggest gainer from the pipeline is going to be Russia and China. So this has already led to a great deal of anger. And we want to make sure it doesn't lead to anything worse, particularly after the year of 2020, in which there were significant incursions in our freedom of religion. Our freedom of speech has basically been taken away from us by the big tech companies that are all Democrat. We can't talk about the Biden hard drive showing all the crimes the Biden family committed. Or if we do, we get taken off television, we get our accounts taken away. Some of us get fired. Some of us get threatened with death. I mean, the provisions on speech and the areas in which our speech has been constricted would be no different than if we were living in a communist or fascist country. When the hard drive was put out, it was censored. Only one newspaper would look at it. I mean, those are the words of the Bible. It's their own words talking about the millions they were getting from foreign countries that you still don't know about. We'll be right back. You never thought COVID could cost you your home, right? It's just right, because cybercrime is up 75%. And by far, the most serious cybercrime to worry about is home title theft. That's right. Cyber criminals, foreign and domestic, are now after our homes, and it's easier than you think. The title documents to our homes are online now. The thief finds your home's title and forges your signature on a quitclaim deed, stating you sold your home to him. Then he takes out loans on your home, and he leaves you in debt. You won't know until late payment or eviction notices arrive. Insurance doesn't cover you, and neither do common identity theft programs. That's why I protect my home with Home Title Lock. The instant Home Title Lock detects someone tampering with my home's title, they help shut it down. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim. Then use code RUDY to receive 30 free days of protection. That's code RUDY at HometitleLock.com. HometitleLock.com. We got a little more to cover. Religion, speech, travel, our ability to conduct our businesses. Look what they're doing to the restaurant industry. Just willy-nilly destroying it. No science based on that at all. People are more likely to get COVID at home than in a restaurant. The schools closed down. No science behind that either. If we don't organize this, it's going to result in smaller groups, not very well thought out. And that's where you get into the situations where you could have violence. And we don't want that on our side. What we need to put together within the Republican Party a committee to restore our rights. We'll come up with a better name, but we need a committee to restore our rights like our founding fathers did, like Newt Gingrich did with his contract with America, like those Tea Party people did in their opposition to Obama. We can come together on this. We can come together on fighting back against this in a lawful way, in a strong way, and most importantly, in a united way. Maybe you feel more strongly about the abortion part, and somebody else feels more strongly about the free speech part, or somebody else feels more strongly about what they're going to do to energy independence or favoring China. So we help each other, and we unite that way. And we do it within this great party of Abraham Lincoln and Theodore Roosevelt and Ronald Reagan and Donald J. Trump. It's a great party. It's done wrong things. Every organization has. But it's got a very, very proud, it's a party of liberation. It's a party that ended slavery, or at least ended slavery legally. People that carried on the vestiges of slavery were the Southern Democrats, remember? Now the South's Republican, very different. Tolerant, open-minded, very, very different. Biggest supporters of Israel, very often we find in the South. This country's changed a lot. If we can organize around these principles, and there are a few more, and then we can take legal action. We can go to court. We can go to the court of public opinion. We can have town hall meetings. But I'm introducing this idea now. We're going to follow up on it. I'd like you to communicate with me about it and give me your ideas on rudyscommonsense.com. That's my website. Send me your ideas, rudyscommonsense.com. And we'll put this out on paper. We'll continue with this. We'll discuss it in future episodes in more detail. But I want to get your sense of, doesn't this require us to really work hard to come up with an organization we can be proud of? We can turn this around. We can turn this around because I guarantee you the people of America are stronger than big tech, big media, and the crooks at the top of the Democrat Party. And let me qualify that. Democrats aren't crooks any more than Republicans. And we're all prone to having this happen at the top of our party. Some of the people I found the most difficult to deal with in representing the president were Republicans who wanted to hold on to their power, and Republicans having some of the similar problems. But nothing is like the power of the people when the people are righteous, conscientious, and dealing with things that are enormously important and taking them right back to 1776 and our founding fathers. This is the greatness of America. Nobody can take away our right of free speech. They think they can, but they can't. They can't. God gave it to us, not them. So when we do this, we'll be fulfilling what we are so lucky to have gotten from God. Not even from the founding fathers, not even from Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump. Certainly not from Joe Biden or these rights we're fighting for are God-given rights. So let's fight for them ferociously, but legally and peacefully. We'll be talking about this a lot, both here, radio show, and on my website. And go to rudyscommonsense.com and give me your ideas, because you're going to have excellent ideas. I do a radio show once a day. Some of the best ideas I get is from my brilliant audience. So take advantage of that. Help me. Help me. I'll help you. And we'll be right back. We'll make a comeback like we've never seen before, and we'll have a freer country, a stronger country, a better country, and an honest country. Thank you very much. And God bless America. We'll be back very shortly. Thank you.